Hi, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the Coach. Today, we have a question from our friend Craig. I'm going to read his email in its entirety. Hi, Ramsey. Really like watching your videos. Thank you. I really like hearing your comments. All of you. I love the comments. That's my favorite part of YouTube. I read them all as often as possible. To make a long story short, a few years back when I was 16, I was working a part-time job waitering. One day I was sitting with a few staff members on our lunch break when two guys that were drinking in the parking lot came over and started trying to sexually harass the one lady working in the kitchen. My friend and coworker ran to the police station, which was only a few hundred meters away, luckily. When the lady being harassed was having none of it, the drunk guy threw his drink at her. She punched him. He pushed her down and kicked her in the face. At this point, I was behind him, so I grabbed him and dragged him down by his waist, got onto his back, and put him to sleep with a rear naked choke. His friend didn't get involved, but when I got up, he tried to push and grab me. I grabbed both of his wrists because I was sure he was going to try to hit me. It was at this point the police showed up. Sorry for the long story, but my question is, in a situation like this, even if it's a stranger who is being attacked, or if there is risk involved for you, are you as a trained fighter morally obligated to do something to defend the person who can't defend themselves? If you witness it, or is this a vigilante mentality? I feel I did the right thing, as this man could have easily killed her. Okay. Let's unpack a few of those items there. Did you do the right thing? Yes, I believe you did, absolutely. You stood up for someone who was being attacked. You put yourself out there and you stopped an aggressive assailant who was doing physical harm to someone who was not able to intelligently defend themselves, and you did so in a way that did not cause tremendous harm. You choked him out, and you held the other guy's wrists, and the police showed up. There we go. So nobody got seriously hurt. Did you do the right thing? Yeah. You solved some serious problems there. But that other question, does a trained fighter, is somebody who is skilled with violence, I should say, do they have a moral obligation to intervene when a stranger is being attacked? In most places, self-defense isn't just about you. It also encompasses anyone else. If you, your property, or someone else is being threatened with physical violence, in most places with self-defense laws, not all, of course, but in most places, the general consensus is it is okay to use violent action to defend yourself, your property, or other people who are in danger. So it's okay. But you're asking, do you have a moral imperative to do so? Do you have an obligation? This sounds like the plot of Spider-Man 2. To be honest, you ever see that movie, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2? The one where Spider-Man was having an existential dilemma of sorts, and he started questioning, do I really want to be Spider-Man? I kind of just want to be a normal guy. And he takes off his mask and his costume, throws it in the garbage, and he decides to live a normal life for a while. And he's walking down the alley. He's like, I'm done with Spider-Man. Not going to do this superhero vigilante thing anymore. And he sees a guy getting beaten up. And he looks over there. And Spider-Man, with his superpowers, could have easily stopped that from happening. Just like he could have easily stopped the mugger who ultimately shot his Uncle Ben, right? Which pushed him to become a superhero, a vigilante, to use his powers to stop bad guys. But in the movie, Peter Parker walks by. He's like, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not about that life anymore. And from that point on in the movie, it explores that question that you asked. If you have the power, do you also have the responsibility? Whoa. With great power comes great responsibility. Now, this is a question for Uncle Ben, not necessarily me, my friend. But let's pretend you're talking to old Uncle Ben for a minute. And he would tell you absolutely yes, you have an obligation. But a moral obligation, man. Now we're delving into the realm of moral relativism. I'll tell you a story once. A story that happened once. Probably my first week here in Shanghai. My first week here in China. I was walking down the road. This road, Wuzhong Road, it's a pretty busy road. On a Friday night. And I see a crowd of people, hundreds of people gathered around watching. And I want to see what they're watching. And so I peek my head through the crowd and I see there's a group of about 6 guys. And they're beating up on this one guy. They throw him on the ground. They start kicking him in the guts and punching him. And he's covering up, trying to roll around, trying to escape. And he can't because there are 6 of them. And he's on the ground, and every time he tries to get up, they just kick him down again. He's in a bad situation. And I didn't understand what they were saying, but they were angry. They were really angry at this guy. And what I could assess from the situation, these 6 guys who were so angry at this one guy on the ground, I don't know why, but they felt justice needed to be done. And injustice had been done to them, or their feelings, or something, in some way or another, and they wanted to exact justice by delivering a sufficient amount of damage and pain and suffering to this guy on the ground. Which apparently was a lot, because it looked like they were going to kill him. And I looked about, and nobody was intervening, nobody was doing anything, nobody was speaking. Some people had their cell phones and they were taking videos. But a crowd of hundreds of people, and nobody did anything, and this shocked me. This shocked me to the core, because I was so used to, in American culture, at least when I was younger, before the advent of cell phones with cameras that everybody would just whip out and film and feel like, I'm helping. No, you're not. Somebody would usually intervene. At the very least, somebody would, a bunch of people would go in there, pull the people apart, say, hey, settle down, guys, settle down. Try to be peacemakers of some kind. That didn't happen. Chinese culture, man, it's different, and here's why. They have some interesting laws. Have you heard about Good Samaritan laws, this idea that if you are trying to help somebody, these exist in the United States, for example. If you're trying to help somebody and your efforts to help don't work, and say the guy you're trying to help, maybe he's severely injured, and you're trying to help him, maybe you're giving him CPR and he dies. There was a case where somebody got sued for that, and the resulting lawsuit ended in the development of the Good Samaritan laws. Basically, if you are trying in good faith to save somebody's life, and you don't, then the survivors of that person can't sue you. That's not the case in China. If you are trying to help, a few too many times people have lost an incredible lot of money trying to help other people. Sadly, but that's the case. Oh, you stuck around to help, you pay the bill. That's the idea. So nobody wants to get involved anymore. Nobody wants to help. But I'm thinking, if I don't do something, this man is probably going to die. He's probably going to get killed. And so I start stepping through the crowd, pressing through the crowd, thinking, what am I going to do? Fighting 6 guys, even 6 wimps, is tough. These guys were all at least my size. If you have 6 times your body weight pressing down on you, ooh, that sucks. With 12 fists coming at you, 12 sets of legs coming at you. That's no good. Especially if one of them pulls out a weapon. Ooh. So I'm thinking, but I got to do something. Maybe I'll distract them. I'll run up there. I'll shout something at them. Maybe push one of them, get them to chase me. Leave that guy alone. And I'll run off through this area. I plan out my escape route. I'm thinking, I'm going to do this. So I step forward. And as I step forward, a girl, a non-imposing girl, steps out of the crowd. And this young girl throws herself on top of this man, on the ground, and starts pleading with his attackers. Stop. Please, stop. And they stopped, which is so interesting to me. Not because their sense of justice had been fulfilled, not because they had delivered a sufficient amount of damage and pain and suffering to make this guy pay for what he had done to make them so angry. No. Something about this innocent girl who had nothing to do with their quarrel came in between them and invoked mercy. Please, mercy, not because of him, but for me. And they did. Fascinating how our sense of justice and mercy works. And then it got really interesting. So, this girl gets up, the six angry guys, they're like, okay, we're done with him. And they start walking to their car. Some of them start getting in the car. The guy on the ground gets up, dusts himself off, and he looks mad. He ignores this girl that just saved his life. And he runs after one of these guys, grabs him by the scruff of the neck, wheels him around, and boom, punches him right in the face. Because he's mad. He just got beaten up on the ground. All six of those guys get back out of the car again, jump on him, throw him on the ground. Bah, 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 bah. We gave you mercy that first time. Now we want justice again. And a second time, this girl throws herself on top, pleading, no, stop, please. And again, for her sake, they stopped. They shouted some angry words, which I can only assume was, we are still angry at you, but don't do it again. We're leaving. Probably a lot of expletives. I certainly didn't know any Chinese expletives back then. But I bet a few choice words were exchanged. And this dude on the ground still did not learn his lesson. And a second time, he runs over, tries to attack. The men who had just been beating him, all six of them, jump out of that car again, throw him on the ground, proceed to beat him, at which point I'm thinking, yeah, at this point he's on his own. But the girl, whoever she was, saved him again. At which point I was like, okay, I'm done with this drama. I am done with this soap opera. But interesting lessons learned there about quelling our sense of justice with our sense of mercy. Do you have a moral obligation if that small, innocent girl isn't in the crowd to save that guy who's getting killed? Do you have a moral obligation to do something? Like I was thinking, hey, nobody else is doing this. I need to help. That's a weird word, moral obligation. How can it be moral if you are obligated to do it? I think one of the most immoral things is forcing somebody's hand, forcing somebody to choose, because then it's not really a choice. If it's an obligation, it's not morality, it's compulsion. A lot of people ask, what is the difference between charity and socialism? If you can't tell, you got some learning to do, my friends. One of those systems is we give because we choose to. The other is we give because we are forced to. You did the right thing, helping that woman who was in need of help. I don't think anybody forced you to do that. I don't think you were compelled or obligated to do that. You did that of your own free will and volition, because it sounds like you're a decent guy, with your head and your heart in the right place. And that's all that needs to be said. Thank you for watching. Now get out there and train.